I came home late one night expecting my roommate to be there, but the apartment was eerily quiet. The usual hum of life was absent, replaced by a chilling silence that seemed to echo off the bare walls. The stillness was broken only by the sound of running water, a steady torrent cascading from the shower. My roommate's presence, usually so vibrant and lively, was conspicuously missing. A sense of unease began to creep in, slithering its way around my thoughts. I called out, expecting a familiar voice, a casual response, but the only reply was the relentless thrum of the shower. A knot of anxiety tightened in my stomach as I approached the bathroom door, the sound of the water growing louder with each step. I knocked, spoke, pleaded, but there was no response. The shower curtain was drawn, hiding the figure within from view. The figure ... It didn't seem right. It wasn't the familiar silhouette of my roommate, but a stranger. A shadowy form that seemed to lurk rather than stand. Something was not right. The figure in the shower was not my roommate. As I paced around the apartment, I noticed a dark figure on the balcony. A shiver ran down my spine as my eyes locked onto the ominous silhouette. It was an entity shrouded in darkness, a specter that seemed to blend seamlessly with the night itself. My heart pounded in my chest like a relentless metronome, each beat a staccato note of dread. I squinted, hoping that the figure would morph into something familiar, something mundane. Perhaps it was merely a trick of the light, or a piece of furniture casting an eerie shadow. But no matter how I strained my eyes, the figure remained steadfastly, terrifyingly real. I tried to convince myself that it was just a random passerby, a neighbor perhaps. But the figure's stillness was unnerving. It didn't move, it didn't stir. It was as if it was carved out of the very darkness itself. Each creak of the old wooden floor beneath my feet seemed to echo ominously through the apartment, amplifying the sense of isolation. The hum of the refrigerator, the tick of the clock, the distant sounds of traffic, everything felt eerily amplified. And all the while, the shower continued to run, a constant chilling reminder of the inexplicable situation I found myself in. The figure was watching me and the shower was still running. Desperate and terrified, I called the police. The sirens echoed through the silent night, piercing the eerie stillness that had fallen over our apartment. As soon as the blue and red lights danced upon the walls, a sense of relief washed over me. The officers entered the apartment cautiously, their faces stern and focused. The tension in the room was palpable, and I could hear my heartbeat pounding in my ears. Suddenly, gunshots split the air, a chilling sound that echoed off the walls. The officers sprang into action, their movements swift and precise. The apartment that once felt like a safe haven was now a chaotic battleground. Confusion reigned supreme as I was whisked away from the scene, the stern grip of an officer on my arm, the only reassurance that I wasn't alone in this nightmare. Amid the chaos, I was shoved into the back of a police car, the flashing lights illuminating the shock and bewilderment on my face. The police were as confused as I was, and they decided to take me in for questioning. In the police station, they started asking me strange questions about my roommate and our apartment. The questions had an eerie edge. They asked about my roommate's habits, his friends, his past. They probed deeper, asking about the history of our apartment, about previous tenants, about any strange occurrences we might have brushed off. It was as if they were trying to piece together a jigsaw puzzle, one that was darker and more intricate than I could ever have imagined. They asked about the shower, about the balcony, about the dark figure I had seen. They asked if we had noticed anything out of the ordinary, any unusual sounds or movements. They grilled me about the 4-hour shower, the chilling figure on the balcony, the sudden disappearance of my roommate. Then came the most unsettling question. They asked if we had ever felt a presence in the apartment, an unseen entity that made the hairs on our neck stand up. They asked if we had ever felt watched, ever felt a chill run down our spines for no apparent reason. I had no answers to their questions. All I knew was that my apartment was not the same anymore. In the end, I was left with more questions than answers. The eerie silence of my apartment echoed with a chilling sense of absence. My mind raced, filled with a swirling fog of confusion and dread. What had happened to my roommate? Who was the figure in the shower, veiled by the steam and the curtain, standing in silence for hours on end? And that dark, ominous figure on the balcony, was it real or a figment of my terrified imagination? The unsettling events of that night remain etched in my memory, a haunting reminder of an inexplicable mystery. The police, despite their questions and investigations, could shed no light on the situation. Their probing queries about my roommate, our apartment, only served to add a layer of surrealism to an already bewildering experience. As days turned into weeks, the normality of life tried to reassert itself, but the shadow of that night lingered, casting a cold, unsettling pall over everything. The apartment, once a haven of camaraderie and comfort, had become a monument to a chilling puzzle, a silent testament to a fear that never truly went away. To this day, I still don't know what happened that night. All I know is I never saw my roommate again.